Hello and welcome to the Jacy Project's Easter podcast. My name's Hyper Hope Drop and we will be starting the podcast shortly. However, before we start, I just want to remind everybody that our new NFTs, Love is the Answer, is available to buy on OpenSea.io for one Matic. We have a 2-tier collection, a blue and a gold. Both are really creative video assets, and 90% of the revenue generated goes to charity, and the final 10% comes back into the Jacy Project to help us with further projects. So visit OpenSea.io and check out Love is the Answer under the Jacy Project. Thank you and enjoy the podcast. Hi everyone, welcome to another Easter special episode of the Jacy Project podcast. My name is David, also known as Hyper Hope Drop, and with me today we've got a very special guest. Myself and Ish have been doing these podcasts for a couple of months now. We've done maybe 4 or 5, and there's been one person that I've wanted to get on the podcast because I feel that she has got a really good insight into the Jacy Project. She's been involved with the project for a long time, and I felt that it was, I would really like to sort of, even if for myself, to hear her story, and I hope that you listening at home will enjoy what she's got to sort of share with us. And then Ish is going to be joining us. He's currently out with doing family duties. It's Good Friday, so happy Easter everyone. Thanks for listening. So with me now is Flower. Hello, Flower.
Hello. Flowers in the house. Here I am.
Did you like your
introduction?
Did you like your introduction?
I loved it. I wouldn't expect less from you, so that's awesome. Thank you for that.
So, Flower, the reason why I want you to be on this podcast is, as I said, you were there from the very early days. You've been through various team changes. You've seen people come and go, but you've always been very consistent. You've been very consistent. You're very supportive of the project. You've worked for the project. So can I ask, before we start, what I do with Ish is we try and just do a little bit of a where we're at today. So today for me, it's Good Friday in England. And I'm going on holiday, and I'll go on holiday in a week's time. Probably shouldn't have booked the holiday, but it's 10 days with my daughter and her friends. So I'm running around like crazy, finishing the last podcast, getting this podcast recorded, finishing a music video, decorating my house whilst buying swimming trunks, etc. for holiday. So having a good weekend. A bit tired. What are you up to at the moment, Flower?
Well, I mean, today it's relaxed for the family too, because it is a Good Friday for us too. So the kids are off school, and we've gone out this morning to do a couple of little things that we needed to do. Now we're just back home and relaxing, and leave mommy alone for a bit, let her relax. She's going to be talking to some people. So it's very relaxing today. I'll be honest with you. This feels good, actually. So yeah, that's what we're doing today. Nothing too complicated, right? So sometimes the simplest things in life, it's just doing nothing. To be honest with you, and it feels great.
Flower, can you tell me your accent? A little bit, just a 2-minute background on who's Flower.
Okay, so sometimes I Flower is I'm Spanish, right? So I have my background is Spanish. It's funny because a lot of people say I went to French school, believe it or not. So sometimes I wonder if my English is a little there's a little accent in it, right? So it seems a bit off sometimes. So I'm like, am I saying the right things? Because I went to French school all my life, right? So my background is I speak 5 languages. If anybody wants to know anything, I have Spanish, French, English, Italian. I'm married to an Italian wonderful man, and I have Portuguese too. So yeah, in that sense, that's a bit of my background.
And how did you get into the Jacy Project?
Oh boy, that's a really well, I can tell the story.
Yeah, tell as much as you want to tell.
Yeah. So let me start by saying something, right? Before Jacy, I had no idea what, and it's going to sound really awkward, but I had no idea what crypto was all about. Even the word cryptocurrency. Okay, what is that? I knew it was something digital, right? But I was exactly, what does it do? So my husband actually introduced me to crypto, and he was actually the first one that had entered Jacy. Actually before the Jacy, before Jacy. So he was part of it. And I guess when Jacy took over the new team, this is when I got introduced to it. And my husband came up to me and said, "Babe, you know what? I got something to show you. This is very interesting." So I'm like, "Okay, sure." And this is how it all started for Jacy. And he was explaining to me how the crypto world works and everything. And I'm like, this is very interesting. So I got into Jacy because of him. And I would say it was right before the migration, which it was January 2022. Yeah, that's it. So it was at the end of December 2021. And the funny thing is that when I first got into this, I got to say this because there's a lot of newbies out there, right? And I was one of them. So it's important to educate ourselves, because when I got into it, and my husband had shown me, gave me an idea. He was new to it too. I would say maybe 4, 5, 6 months into it. So I was like, okay, so let's say you take $100, you put it in there, and I'm like, oh my God. I go, why is it possible to make quick money this way? If I'm going to take $200 and I'm going to throw it in one of the tokens, are you telling me that I can make, I don't know, $10,000 out of that? Wow, this is great, right? So awesome. So yeah, I got very interested. So I'm looking at following Jacy. I'm looking at the people behind it. I'm following the Telegram group. I was very silent in the beginning. I'm a very private person. Let's start with that. So I was just watching and understanding the logistics of crypto, what is behind it, and everything. And slowly, I started getting a little attached. I think it was the type of community we had back then. I know we're lacking this today, but it's going to come eventually. And to be honest with you, for me, it was like, how can I explain it? It was, Jacy was very special from the beginning. So I'm just going to put Jacy aside for a second here. And so back to the crypto thing, right? So I was very excited about it. And I'm like, oh, wow. So I don't have to do a 9-to-5 job anymore. Maybe we can do quick something here and there, right? And like, why not? What is wrong with people? Why are you working for somebody? Like, what's wrong with you? Just let's go. And this is when I learned the word, which was called rug. Because the first week I tried it, I'll be honest, and I'm a very humble and honest person, straightforward. I say it the way it is. Yeah, the first week I got rugged like 5-6 times, right? And I'm like, holy, I won't swear in here, that's not nice, but wow, I mean, wait a second, hold on, there's a catch to this. So anyways, slowly, my point is that for the newbies out there that are listening to this, just be careful, because there's a lot of scams out there. There's a lot of stuff that you're not going to like. So Jacy was one of those tokens that actually changed my mind, in a sense that I was attracted to the community from the beginning. Also, what the goal of Jacy was, but mostly it was the interaction that we had. It was very humble. I met a lot of people along the way, still very much in touch with them after, I think it's 2+ years. And for me, it was something, how can I put it, something different. And I still believe that it will be something different, that we have ups and downs. Sure, they all do, right? And that's for everything in life. But at this point, I think I'm talking too much, David.
I really enjoy it. You've got a good story. I'm completely enthralled and listening. I've got loads.
Yeah. So
please.
It was like, yeah, it's crazy. The way I got into it, yo.
Hey, Flower, it's me. It's Ish, Elisha. How you doing, sweetheart?
Yeah, hi, Alicia. I can hear you. Yeah.
No, I didn't know you spoke 5 languages. That's useful information.
I did. Yeah, actually, I do. But like I said, I'm a very private person. I don't like to put myself out there. I think I do sometimes, but I don't like to put my stuff out there. But there's nothing wrong with that, right? There's nothing wrong with that. But I mean, I do speak 5 languages.
Maybe that's been an asset of yours, is the fact that maybe where you don't go put yourself out there, quite so vocal, you sort of watch, you observe, you take it in, that perhaps that's why you've been one of the longest members of the community, because I'm quite outspoken, passionate. I can't hold it back, so I say something, and things can come and go quite quickly if you're too vocal. So it makes a lot of sense. What can I ask? How do you feel about cryptocurrency at the moment?
Well, I think you got to be very wise about it. It is the future. It is here. Let's not be blind by it. I don't know if you guys hear this, but more and more we hear about it. It's more spoken. The way I feel, it's something that there's the ups and downs and I think it's all based on what it comes. You know what? I'll be honest with you. It comes down to the education. That's number one. Educate yourself, guys. Really educate yourself about cryptocurrency. Cryptocurrency, it's not just one word. There's so much behind it, and I'm still learning myself today. I'll be honest with you. I find that I go into a lot of Twitter spaces, and I educate myself. And mind you, there's some of them that you get in and you're like, what are they talking about? And I'm not a technical person. Myself, I'm learning, right? So I'm not the type of person to judge others as well. I prefer to observe and listen, and this is the way I learn. But at the same time, there's so much out there. There's so much information out there. There's so much documentary out there. Like look at Jacy now. We're putting so much information out there, and people are like they're skeptical, because they're not. And most of them are newbies. Most of them get scammed in the past. Most of them are just afraid. They take so little money they have, and they bet it on cryptocurrency. So it's sad for me. Like I'm not very. I think maybe I'm more of a human person in a sense that, how can I say it? I have a lot of patience, and I have a lot of how can I say it? In a sense that I feel bad for the people that have no idea how to drive through cryptocurrency, how to sell through it. Myself too, right? I'm no expert at all, but I'm learning from, let's say, Alicia. For an example, he's been. The past year, it's incredible. Also, that he's showing more. He's more educated too. I see in a sense he was, but in a sense, the way he speaks and everything. So I'm learning from him. I'm learning from other people, and it's nice to just pay attention. And just be careful, learn, educate yourself. I think it's really about educating yourself. It really comes down to that.
Flower, one thing I would like to say is I think, I sort of said about maybe sort of observing is a good way of sort of like having longevity within a crypto sort of community. Mm-hmm. And you mentioned that you've got 5 languages. I really like the fact that Elisha had to switch on his phone and acknowledge that and think the way that he sees that is like, that's a good business angle. I think Elisha is very good at instantly 5 languages. Right, what languages can you talk in? We're going to move into that area. So I really admire that. But I think that when you said about your English language, I think that you're actually really good at communicating. Perhaps because you don't talk too much, but you've got, when you do talk, you're very good at sort of getting your point across. And I think people listen. So just wanted to sort of let you know that. So I guess now, can you tell me, have you got any good stories about Jacy? Old, new, present, past? Anything funny? Anything that you look back on that was sad, shameful? I was, there was a week around when I bought Jacy Wire. there was I'd made some money on some other projects, as the majority of people around this time did, and I too was sort of putting in a few $100s here, a few $100 there, a few $100 here, and pretty much all of them ended up to be rug pulled. And there was actually I spent quite a period of time sort of researching who were behind these projects, and it all went back to Vietnam. There was like a group of people in Vietnam who were very good at setting up these cryptocurrency websites, setting up the Telegram groups, paying people with Ethereum, so they would have a moderator, and then just sort of gradually, and then just one day taking everything out, emptying the wallets, and away they went. So what stories have you got, Flower? Anything that particularly stands out, good, bad and ugly? One thing we try not to do on here, no naming and shaming. The past is the past, but what are your memories, if you've got any?
Well, no, absolutely. And, I'll be honest with you, David, I'm very discreet about conversations I have with anybody. I like to keep some stuff to myself, right? Because for me, privacy has to be very cherished. As I expect the same thing for me, I do the same things for others. Funny story. Oh, my God. Yes, I have one. I don't know if it's funny, actually, but you know what?
But interesting.
So, yeah, interesting one. It might scare Alicia away, actually. Take a deep breath, Alicia. But it's okay. I'm just joking. So going back to the beginnings, right? When Jacy, it's funny. When I got into Jacy, my husband was already into Jacy. He was in JCY. That's when JCY got rugged. And people were like, "Oh, great!" But I think he wasn't too. He heard from it was revived, right? Like the new team took over and everything. Great. So he got back into it, and this is when the good stuff started, right? And this is when he introduced me to it. But my husband introduced me to it, which is really funny. When he put a certain amount of money, and then he wanted to surprise me, and this was right after Christmas, and he goes, "Babe, I got something to show you," right? And keep in mind, at the time that I mentioned in the beginning, I had no idea about what crypto was. So he showed me his phone, and I looked at it. I go, "What is that?" I go, "That's quite a big amount. We're talking about 6 digits, right?" I'm not going to say how much, but it was 6 digits. I won't forget. So he goes, "This is how much money we're making." And I go, "What? What do you mean?" So he goes, and I'll be honest with you, he wasn't as connected in a sense that my husband works full time, right? So he's got a lot of time that he has to invest on that. So it wasn't like me where I got involved with the Telegram, I got involved with some people, and it was fun and everything, and I put that extra time. So funny story is that he's saying, "You know what? I think I should sell." And the funny thing about this is like, don't you dare touch that. It was like, and remember, right? Remember this, me understanding back then, I didn't have a lot of knowledge, and like, oh my God, we're going to be millionaires overnight. Wow, this is great. What's going on? And it's funny. And anyway, so from good to bad, everything turned around. I'm like, oh, and I felt like it was a bit of my fault back then, but it wasn't really my fault, right? So, because you're learning from it. So that's a funny story, because it's something that, wow, Jacy got us to all-time high, and then here we are trying to get back to all-time high, which is actually funny. So I look at it as an experience, right? Like, it wasn't our money to begin with. In life, everything is not about money, guys. It's there's other things in life too, right? So I think I'm more, maybe call me naive, but I'm okay with that. This is who I am, and I'm never going to change. So that's one of the story. I need to share another story after that. You guys might find it really funny, and I'm sure a lot of
please do.
A lot of people, must have gone through the same thing. When first, I don't know, David, when you first heard of Bitcoin for the first time.
Yep.
It's funny because back then I was working full time. I had quite a nice high position at a certain transportation company. And the funny thing is that I remember the first time I was sitting with a friend, and we're in a cafe having some lunch together, and we knew the owner there, right? So he approached us, and hey, girls, guess what? Have you ever heard of Bitcoin? I'm like, Bitcoin? Okay, what is it? He goes, you know what? Buy a digital dollar. At the time, I wasn't really we're going back years. And I'm like, what are you talking about, this guy? What? No, what is that? So anyways, the thing is that, yeah, if I should have listened to that person, because can you imagine back then when it first came out, when I first heard about it, there was just one very small, tiny little dollar back then. Yeah, and the funny thing that I think about is that where is that owner, that bastard? He got rid of the cafe. No wonder. So, so that was. I can tell a couple of stories that. I mean, in a sense that I look at it as experience, right? I'm always going to look at life as it's a learning experience. Don't look at it as a failure. Yeah, you're going to have failures in life, but you have to turn it around, and this is what what we teach our children too, right? So,
yeah, for sure.
It's hilarious.
I have two similar. I have two responses to your stories. One, I had that wallet situation where I showed my family. They knew that I had made money. They knew that I'd made money on Bitcoin. Yeah. They knew that I did cryptocurrency, and they were gobsmacked when I showed them my wallet on a Friday night. And the very next day, it started to fall. And this wasn't Jacy, this was something else. The very next day, it started to fall. And it just fell and fell and fell. And I didn't sell. There was a Bitcoin story. So I'm smiling as we talk about this. It's interesting stuff to talk about it.
I can feel that. I can feel you smiling.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, my friend years ago, so I came into cryptocurrency from the sort of anarchy point of view. I was always online, always working online. I saw this, I started to read about Bitcoin, thought it sounded really good. Mm-hmm. And then about a year later, and I remember thinking, I should buy some. And just to support the project, I should buy this new currency, but I didn't bother buying it. And then about a year later, my friend posted on, who was a real tech head. And he's always been the tech head of our group sort of in London years ago. And I think I'm technical. This guy is the next level. He code everything, you know. And I saw him start to post on Facebook or whatever it was that he was sort of doing stuff in Bitcoin. So I contacted him. I said, hey, look, you know, do you want to tell me about what you're doing? And he said, I'm working for this guy. You know, we've set up a Bitcoin company or whatever it was. And he said, we actually need some video content, some marketing. Would you be interested in doing it for us? And I was like, sure. So I sent them my quotes, and they told me what they needed, sent them my quotes, and they got back to me. They said, that's a little bit, we're a startup. They said, it's a new currency. We've got some investment, but can you reduce the price? And I said, well, look, it was quite cheap. And I said, look, how about you pay me this much, and the rest you pay me you set me up with one of these Bitcoins, just one. And it was around £100 at the time. And it was like, yeah, we can do that, no problem. So I then went to film with them, and they had an office somewhere in England, and they had I had to sort of like do some videos about the company, and they had mining. They had like a full-on Bitcoin mining setup times like 10. And I was super impressed. I thought, guys, this is amazing. And what they had was, you see like on sort of like stock images or whatever, you see a gold Bitcoin, and it's like a metal. Okay. They had I would estimate about 5,000 of these metal Bitcoins that they had bought that were actually cold wallets. So it had a number on the back that you scratched off, or it had a hologram on the back that you peeled off. There was your wallet number. And they were going through the process of transferring Bitcoin onto all of these wallets. I took all pictures and video clips for them. Looking back now, they must have had, they were mining, they were making loads. And there was at least 5,000 of these with Bitcoin on them.
Wow.
I would estimate, and they set up an exchange. They were going to do scratch card, all these different things that happen now, ATMs, etc., etc. And somewhere along the line, sadly, the price started to fall. A guy was starting, the CEO was starting to pay shareholders dividends out of investment money. It kind of turned out to be a scam. He got in too deep, and the company sadly folded. People lost money. The price plummeted, and that was it. And I remember at the time, I said I want this to be a fun podcast. The guy I was worried about, not my friend, but the CEO, I thought, he's sort of at suicidal. He could be, he's gone from being a millionaire 6 weeks ago or 6 months ago to out of business today. It's like really sad. And I just think how much. And so I managed to keep my Bitcoin, and I contacted my friend about 2-3 years later. It was significantly up. It was into the thousands now. And I contacted my friend, and I said, "Hey, how much Bitcoin have you got? How many Bitcoins have you got?" And he said, no. He'd gambled them all away. On the casinos, and he had about a quarter of a Bitcoin left. So I guess the story is that it's one of those things, isn't it? The money, the wallet. One day you can look at your wallet and be, 6 figures, millionaire, whatever. And I always encourage. What are your thoughts, Flower, on holding, selling? Should you have sold when your husband said, "Should I sell it," or do you hold?
Well, I hold. Of course, I hold. And I know, I'm a big believer still in JC. I mean, I think there's so much we can do with it, and it's slowly happening. The thing for me is that. I think it's important to remember, right? And the history of JC, 2+ years. It's not easy. Even for myself, there was a period of time it wasn't easy because people give up, right? According to the history, according to the experience. But the thing is that. The team, we have today, we have people of trust, right? We have people with great minds, great ideas. They're open to so many things. And for me, I'm very positive about JC. I'm holding JC. My husband sold a long time ago because, you got to understand the other side of the people too. He wasn't involved. And we're two individuals, right? Two independent people. It's not that we have to make the same decisions in life, right? And we have to respect each other's decisions. I think for him, to not get into many details, it was sad, I think, at a certain point along the way for JC that he felt like it was, how can I put it delicately? It was sort of the end, but it wasn't. I think maybe it was consuming too much time, and he saw me also feeling like I was putting maybe too much time. Not in the sense of putting effort time. It was more like psychological. I don't know if you get that.
Absolutely. Yeah.
In a sense that, it's sometimes in life it is that hurts the most. It's the psychological side, right? Because I could see something, but at the same time it was distracting. And it wasn't only me. I mean, I had conversations with plenty of other people. Where they came to me in private, and they were having the same issues. And at the same time, it was like an addiction, right? You want to let go, but you don't want to let go because maybe the right setup wasn't in place back then, and not to nobody's fault, right? Sometimes things work out, sometimes it doesn't work out. That's fine. But at the same time, I'm still holding JC, until today. And I'm proud of it. And I'm hoping that what we do with JC, it's going to be something that other people are going to be proud of, and they're going to start seeing us in a different light. Right now, I feel like we're working against everybody in a sense. We got to try to prove something. but we trust ourselves to a certain point that we don't, but we still do, right? Because this is crypto. Let's remember, this is crypto, and because once you get to know crypto, you're thinking that you get into it, you realize that there's so much scamming out there that everything gets mixed up, in a sense. So we're trying to break that apart. We're trying to be something more constructive in a sense that we're here to stay. Is it going to take a little more time? Yes, it is going to take a little more time. Should we rush it? No, absolutely not. And you can, Alicia's there as a witness that I tell him, Alicia, slow down. Let's just go slow. Let's make sure that we have one foot in front of the other, not backwards, right? So I try to be the voice of reason somehow. Am I right? I don't know if I'm right, David. Maybe not.
I would agree completely. I think that anything that you form a relationship with, whether it's community members, whether it's the project itself, whether it's the vision, to see that not materialize in the way that you hope it will materialize, like a relationship, it hurts, But I'm very much a believer, and I practice these principles with my daughter. I'm a believer, as I've got older, that the more hurt you suffer, grief, the more grief you suffer, the stronger your heart becomes. The more mistakes you make, and I don't call mistakes anymore. I see them entirely as lessons. And this might be really basic, sort of like Buddhism or something, I don't know. But I believe that you learn, they're not mistakes that we make, they are lessons that you learn, A mistake,
exactly.
Sorry, let me rephrase that. A mistake can stay a mistake, let's say, if you don't deal with it. But if you learn from it, then it becomes a lesson. So I think the more sort of grief that you suffer in life, the stronger you become. And the more mistakes that you make, the wiser you become, and the more you learn. And I do a lot of work in the corporate sectors, video work. And there's the trends at the moment really are, it's okay to make mistakes. We want you to make mistakes because we want you to learn. And there's the key word lately is curiosity. And it's okay to be curious. It's okay and also to not be afraid to ask questions. If you don't understand, ask a question. Ask as many questions as you need to ask until you understand what you feel you need to understand. Also, when I do my music video, I sort of have a production team. I do music videos and commercials, quite a lot of them in England. And I have my production team who work with me. And for years, I'm the director, and for years I used to sort of be quite authoritarian. I'd sort of say, right, this is how it is, this is what we're going to do. And some, a company needs a CEO who's able to direct or got a vision or whatever. But something switched in me at one point. It was like podcasts or whatever. And I started to realise that you're only as good as the team that you've got around you. And if you can make your team feel like they are, the most important part, they're an important part of this project or of a project, they will function much better. So instead of I switched, and instead of saying, right, this is what we're doing, I would start to say, okay, what do you need so that you can be, what do you need from me? As a director and a producer, how can I make sure that you have the best experience that you can here? And in shifting that sort of mentality for me, it really changed. I basically, it sounds, we make music videos, so I said, you're the rock star, even if you're a runner, even if you're going to go and get us our coffee and bagels, what do you need to make sure? So we need a card. I need a debit card that is just ours to use. Okay, then we'll sort that out for you. And I think it's really important. So that's the point I want to make, is like, you become attached to things, and some of these things do hurt, and especially when money's involved and dreams, and 6 figures is a lot of money. That is a life-changing amount of money for a lot of people. So to see that come and go, and that's why when we're in the communities, my approach at the moment for sure is 100%. I understand, I hear you, even though I might not have the same story. We've got to, I believe, we must always respect that somebody put in $100 and that's down to $10. They've got a reason. They should be not afraid to ask a question. One question for you, Flower. So,
hey, David.
Hey,
before we go on,
I
do want to clarify that This is a great discussion. So, by the way, for those that are listening, this is good. But before it gets further, I think it deserves a little bit of explaining. And here's what I mean. Well, I saw the same thing. I think I had at the most like $600,000 seeing on my screen. Keep in mind that that's really not the truth, though, right? So, liquidity market cap, when it's a big imbalance, what you're seeing on your screen, you were not going to get that. Like, for instance, we had a 5 max ETH sell. So at the most someone could have cashed out was $20,000. So the minute you cash out $20,000, you're going to see your $400,000 like drop like more than half. People don't realize that. In other words, there's not enough liquidity to hold everyone's wallet or what they're seeing. And so in other words, I'm glad that you guys stayed. Like, I'm glad Flower, well, there's no wrong in Flower not selling, because what happened was you never had that money, number one, because the liquidity pool didn't even have that much, right? Like what people don't realize, like when you see like something with a market cap of 27 million, and then you see the liquidity pool at 500,000. Well, that's the truth. You only have the liquidity pool to work with. Meaning, look, I would say 200 people, right, from the Jacy project profited. But in my opinion, those people that profited now, they probably took it, gladly. But at the end of the day, they took money from the community. Now, I don't mean that in a bad way. It's freedom. It's decentralized finance. It's DeFi. I just want to educate those listening that, look, you never had $600,000. And don't feel bad for something you never had. But I want to reward someone that thinks like Flower. Because someone that thinks like Flower knows that if she took $600,000 from the pot, she took from hundreds of people, especially if she only invested like a 3-figure investment. We need to be educated. We need to be one community. And I'm very passionate about this because I think a lot of people don't understand this. And people need to be educated that when you have a liquidity pool for a community, we work together as a community. I made this silly comment before, and I said, we should have a tax sell of 90%. And then people say, that's a bad idea. Well, what I was saying was a tax sell of 90% until we reach a certain market cap. I just want to teach people of what can happen if we hold to a certain market cap with a certain number of holders. Now, I'm very bullish on Jacy because with Jacy, we now have a lot more holders, right? Like there's 3,700. So the Jacy tokens are distributed very nicely. And there's not, there's a few whales. I would say the top 20 I would consider whales. But I believe that we are a holder community now where if we go from 3,700 holders to the next step, let's say 10, 12, 15, 20,000, which is kind of like where SHIB was between 2020 and 2021. I look at us as where we're at now as that. 2020 and 2021 is very similar to 2024, 2025. And I want those that are listening, look, the holder base of Jacy is a strong holder base. We have a good distribution of the top 500 wallets are pretty much evenly based, in my opinion. It's a nice distribution. And so we have a good opportunity as we create more liquidity pools to create more not only market cap but liquidity for the project in various means. It will be a lot more stable so that when someone sees 3 figures, it's actually 3 figures. So anyway, I'm just very passionate about that because I don't want to misconstrue that, Flower and I, and look, hundreds of people saw probably 6 figures. They all could not have taken it. We had probably a liquidity pool of like maybe 300,000 at the most, right? And that's why, the previous team had, they limited it to sell to 5, which makes sense.
I hear you. Elisha and Flower. I'm going to continue with you, Flower, on this, but also I want your input as well, Ish. When you hear people say that we're scammers, how does that make you feel? How do you still continue to work on the project and stay motivated when there have been some posts saying, hey, this project's a scam? How do you deal with that? How do we deal with it? Flower.
Yeah, well, you know what? I think it depends of each and one of us individually, right? I think it comes down to a couple of things you mentioned, David, before, the experiences that you have in life, right? The tougher they are, the tougher it makes you. So in a sense, I think you gotta be. I don't want to use the word smart, because if people think a certain way, then I'm going to call them they're not smart, and then they're probably going to get fat from that. So I'm going to be careful what I say. But I think in a sense that you got to look at it both ways, right? So if on one side of the tracks, this is with the Jacy team, right? So I see, obviously I see difference. We have more information. We have a lot of information what's coming, which a lot of people probably are not aware yet. But in a sense that I can understand what we are planning, what we are doing, where we are heading. But then I got to put myself in the shoes of the other side of the track, right? And understand those people too. So this is the way I see it. Is it easy to lash out? There's times that I probably said a couple, maybe one or two things, or called a couple people Felicias. Yeah, probably. I think it was probably one of the worst weeks we had. Because it's not easy to deal with fat, I'll be honest with you. But in the sense that I come back to my senses really quick, and this is where it's good to have a balance of both sides. And I try to understand the other side, where they're coming from, because these are people that are probably not involved 100% with the follow-up every day or every week or whatever. So I try to balance it out in a sense that, okay, guys, and I got to point this out, by the way. David, I love the way you interact with the people. It could be fathers, non-fathers, it doesn't matter at this point. But the thing is that I love the way you approach. It's beautiful, and I'm taking the example from you as well.
I appreciate it.
I got to point that out. I think, yeah, and that's very important. And, there's times that we kind of, maybe some of us lost it a bit, but I think it's because we've been in the project for so long now, and it hurts. Like, well, not it hurts, like, it hurts in a sense like, guys, we're doing something. We're showing you something. It's not enough. It feels like you always have to fill up the glass of water nonstop. At a certain point, you gotta start. You gotta know how to tune it off. In a sense that, okay, you have an option. Don't pay attention, or you actually calm down and you respond. The honest truth, right? I mean, what we're saying, what we're putting out there, it's the honest truth. Now, not everybody's going to be satisfied, but there's nothing we can do about that. So we keep moving. That's the way I see it. I'm not going to engage into something that is very toxic either. Like, who has time for that? Unless you're super bored and you're like, okay, let me just pick on somebody. But that's not my nature anyway. So I prefer to stay very humble as much as I can. And try to understand both sides. I think it comes down to that.
For me, please carry on.
Yeah, I want to, because this is a good one, a really good question, because I'm someone, I'll be transparent. I'm down. That's the truth, and the truth sets you free. So when I see these comments, right, all over the internet, reviews, it hurts at first, but I'm here to, number one, save the project. Not only for myself, but for the entire community. I'm here to lead a team that's going to execute and perform the vision and values of what I think will be a long-term project. So in other words, I know the mathematics of cryptocurrencies, and we're not just a pump and dump token with no purpose. Believe it or not, I actually believe we've come through a long haul, and we're doing much, much better than 2 years ago. And I know it's hard to say with the token price, but we have a great team of talented individuals who think long term. We have partners that are real world global influencers that will create more partners in the future. It's something that I firmly believe in. I'm a physician, but my passion is in music. My passion is in the songwriting process. I'm a passion of the arts, photography. And I believe there's value in the tokenization of assets where cryptocurrencies are going anywhere. Anyway, sorry.
Okay.
So with all that to say, right?
Yep.
Of course, when you have people that are making false accusations, when you yourself are down and you're working nonstop for the project. We had a comment like a couple of days ago that says, the bull market's around the corner. When are we going to? All I see is, and then I had to point out all the pinned messages of months and months and months of deliveries. right? We have world-class marketers, and you are a world-class marketer, and we're working with Kristen, who herself is a very successful marketer of brands in her daytime job. We just did a podcast with her, and an able communicator with Flower. I love Flower because, Flower is right, because she humbles me, because I tend to go very fast. And in my real world, I work with, people of excellence. With cryptocurrency, you're kind of stuck with the community. Now, I love the community, don't get me wrong. I don't want to come across, elitist here. But in the real world, I know who I can hire. In the real world, I know who I can pay the 6 figures salary or the 5-figure salaries to. But guess what? In the Jacy project, Jacy Token, I've surrounded myself with a team that I trust, and this is the team we're moving forward with. And look, if you want to play with the Jacy project, we are a formidable, powerful team with long-term vision. But I'm here for legacy because I believe in this technology, and I believe what it can do to unleash the gifts and talents of individuals. I know what it can do for generational wealth. I'm not here for 6-figure, sell and see you later. I'm here to make sure that generations thereafter will have many things to fall upon, not only through money, but through utilization of the technology that will enhance. For instance, I got 2 autistic children who are very gifted and talented. I want their movies, I want their videos, I want their photos, I want their art in the blockchain with value, because I believe in the value of arts and talent. I believe in working with my real estate friends and tokenizing real estate in the Middle East, like Dubai, where they're already doing it. The United States is so behind. And I believe, look, if people are still listening, right, I'm very passionate about this. When you listen, crypto is not just about making money. It's so much more than that. It's about understanding what the blockchain is, what Web3 is, and what smart contracts is. And smart contracts gives the ability of A-listers, right, to work with everyone. And look, we have to be patient, because there's a lot of non-professionals, there's a lot of people that don't understand the space, that they have a $100 investment, right, and then they see their $100 go to $10 and they're upset, when they didn't realize that there's a guy that put in $1,000 and cashed out at $10,000. And you know what? I want the people to listen. I'm not going to be that guy that put in $1,000 and then cash out $10,000. I'm going to be that guy. You're going to hear on. Well, no, listen, David, I told you this. I'm going to be that guy on Netflix that you will interview one day, and then you're going to ask Elisha, is it true you have $5 billion that you're holding? Yep, and I haven't cashed out. And because to teach a lesson, because if people work together, right? And if we work together and we understand, look, let's not be selfish. Let's work together to get a certain market cap where, look, let's say we make it to 50 million market cap, right? There's a lot more stability in 50 million market cap than 26.9 where we were before, Look, even a project, let's say like Saitama, even SHIB, right? They accelerated to thousands upon thousands percentage. The bear market humbled us, but we're still around. But the foundation is much more stable. I just want people to understand that when you have like a 1,000x, keep in mind you're taking that liquidity out from a pool where other people have already put that money in. We will give the Jacy token a lot of utility. I'll close with that.
They're brilliant. So I think that's a really good example of why I enjoy working with you, Ish, because you're very, very passionate. You're clearly intelligent. You've picked up so much so quickly. But this podcast is meant to be a light-hearted podcast. So, Flower, what is it like spending so much time with Ish? Tell me a story. Tell us all a story. Or two.
Do you have the bleep button there? I'm still looking for the pause button for Alicia. I couldn't find it. You know what? I mean, look, Alicia's very, he's very passionate. I gotta say it. Like, he's a very passionate person when it comes to what he believes in. And it's nice to see that. I'm learning a lot from him too. I'm hoping that he's learning in a sense that when we have conversations, and I think we slow down a bit because I think we're more calm about it in a sense that, okay, this is the direction we're taking. Yeah, for me, it's I need somebody also that thrives, right? In a sense that when you want something so bad, I'll be right there with you. In a sense, right? For me, I think that's what kind of kept me too. And I've got a lot of people coming to me. I gotta be honest about it. in DM telling me that if it wasn't for you, Flower, there's no way I would be here. Thank you for sticking around. And it humbles me, I'll be honest with you. It humbles me. But it's not only about that. So I want to make it clear, too. It's also about what drives the thrive behind it. It's that thing that you want it, conquer it, right? And I think Alicia has a lot of that in a sense. Is he a little crazy sometimes? Maybe. but in a good way, right? I don't like to judge people. Like I don't like to be put in that position. But I think that we have something going here, right, with the right team, and you know, anybody's welcome. By the way, we're very open to anybody. If I'm sure Alicia agrees with this, entering the circle and just, you know, throw a couple of ideas out there. It's always good to have fresh minds too, right? So we can have more of a positive impact. And look, you know what? For those listening, stick around. I mean, stick around, because you never know. Sometimes you think that something won't work out, and you'll be surprised about it. That's the only thing I can say. That you'll be very surprised. The underdogs sometimes might be the ones that they'll be on top. So that's the best way I can put it right now.
Motivating talk. Ish. I want to ask you what Flower brings to the project. Why have you stuck? Well, you like Flower. You often talk about Flower in the podcast. You mentioned she was your Secretary of State or something. Talk to me in a couple of minutes. Summarize what Flower's like. What strengths, weaknesses,
elevated
funny.
Vice President.
Sorry, say that again.
Be nice, Alicia. Be nice, Alicia. I know where you live.
Elevated to Vice President. Yeah. From
Sure.
No.
David, my parents change every week. Don't worry about it, David.
You've gone a bit quiet, Flower. I'm going to let Elisha talk for a minute. You've definitely gone a bit quiet on us. Go on, Anish, tell me. So, Flower.
No. Well, first of all, I love Flower, right? So Flower definitely brings balance to the fore. You know, she helps calm me down. I do get a little bit fast. That's always been an issue with me when I have dreams, big vision. I tend to somehow leave people behind, but Flower is that balance for me, and she helps me, you know, think in good wisdom. Now, Flower to me is very organized. She is an able communicator, humble, organized, you know, and she's very wise. I always thought that the female, like my wife is my counselor, so I think females are very powerful for that, because they give us guys wisdom, you know. And what I love about Flower is her ability to connect with all personalities. I love that. And look, I want to brag about the community, because I think Flower is a representative of the entire community. We have a great community. We have a community from different other crypto projects. I think many of us found us either from Saitama or during the Doge months. You know, we got a lot of those same sort of, we call it the meme token buyers. But in this community are very talented people. Like we have people that do charity all over the world. You know, we have a holder named JoJo, right? That does charity all over the world. She does music. You know, we have influencers. We have artists, and I can go on. And so, in assessing the value of the community, and you know, Flower was a part of this conversation. We believe that in elevating the gifts and talents of our community, we need to have a project that helps to elevate that. And I think when we realize that we're all just one community, one team, one family, I like to refer to Jacy as the Jacy family. We realize that every person has a role. Every person has a gift or a talent. We're one big body with many parts. And that's a beautiful part of what we are discovering within even the smaller inner circle of this team, is that we're perhaps discovering even new things about each other. Like I could have sworn I'd never heard Flower say she spoke 5 languages. So, I mean, this is just getting me really excited. You know, that's why I'm vice president now.
I want to interrupt. So, as I said earlier, when I do sort of my music videos, I will look at my director of cinematography, and I will say, what do you think we need to do? What do you need to do? Give me your input. I'm a director that likes to take input from other people because I admit that I might not always see things. I think I'm like you, Elisha. I am very focused, I'm passionate, but sometimes I can miss such obvious things. So I've learned to turn to my team and say, tell me what you think. So, Flower, what do you think we should be focusing on with the Jacy project at the moment? If you were Elisha, and you were me, and you were Kristen, and everyone else, what do you think we should do?
Well, you brought up that good point, right? Sometimes you gotta listen to others too. I think that's very important. When you have other people putting ideas on the table, you gotta learn how to focus on that, because if you don't, if you're set a certain way, you miss things in life, right? So I think it's important always to just discuss, make sure that everybody's aligned with the same direction, and you know what? It's practically, when you think about it, it's really based on that. I mean, you can have like if you've mentioned from the beginning, and it's true, you can have so many ideas, but I think if you have not the perfect team, I don't like to say the perfect team, the word, because there's no perfection in life. And if anybody thinks they're perfect, sorry, you're wrong. You're not. We all have faults. But I think it's always basing ourselves in listening to others, right? Listening to... And sometimes you might not like to hear it, but sometimes it might change the way you see things. I think I'm more of I always push more for the human side. And I know some people, maybe they don't realize how important it is. So for me, I'll be honest with you, it's more like, sit down, take a breath. Just take a breath and listen. Just listen. Listen to other people. And then put it together as a team, right? That's the way I see it. When you construct something, you're a team. So we have to stick as a team. And you know when the team, there's something off about a person, like you're going to have other people seeing it, right? You're going to have more than one person, and something is off. So for me, it's like take a deep breath, calm down, and just analyze it, right? I think it's where my patience comes from. I'll be honest with you. I think that's very important to remember that lesson. For whoever wants to enter crypto, yeah, it's a very important lesson to learn. That's for sure.
I'm going to really reluctantly start wrapping this up. I've thoroughly enjoyed having you on this podcast, Flower, and thank you very much for being a part of it. Thank you. I appreciate it. Before we go, I want to sort of open this up a little bit. What are your current crypto projects outside of the Jacy project that excite you, that you're interested in? So my name is David. I've got $500 to put in a crypto project. How are you doing, Flower? I've known you for a while. I see you in the cafe once in a while. How are you doing? I hear you're into crypto. Where should I put my $500 and why?
Well, I mean, one that I can think of, and you know what? I look at it as not the name of a token. I look at it as a bit of history behind it. It's important what the community is like, and one that I would tell you, David, you know what? Throw something in Swifties, and the reason why I would say Swifties is because Swifties reminds me a lot of the beginning of Jacy, maybe a year and plus far from here. I think there's a lot of resemblance where the community is amazing. They're tied together. They work together. They want to achieve something together. You want to get somewhere together. And it brings so much joy, I'll be honest, and so much confidence. Is it perfect? No, it's not. But at the same time, I would say, this is one example, right? I'm not going to go into other examples, but this is one example that I would take because the community, it's the force of the token, coin, whatever you want to call it. It's the force behind it. It's what drives it. It's the tightness of it, which is attracting me to this one, for example. That's one example.
I want to spice it up a little bit. Where would you say don't put your money? Be tough. Don't. Where would you say don't put your money in that project? You can be tough, Flower. Come on. This is like 2 years worth of
David,
advice coming out.
No, David, don't do this. Don't do this to me. I mean,
Flower, I can help you if you want.
I love it. Go. You were coming next, Ish. I was going to ask you, Ish. So Ish, so you're involved in a few. Well, when I say you're involved in a few projects, okay, Ish, very quickly because time is really ticking. Are you two okay for time at the moment?
Yeah.
And you've got a few more minutes.
Yeah.
Okay, so Ish, there is. I've seen on. You worked with other projects. Now, me as a marketer, I say be very careful what you do with other projects, because if that project turns out to be a rug, you are going to be associated with it. And that's kind of happened to some degree, I think. I don't really know too much. I don't look at the other projects, but that's my feeling. However, equally, I totally understand your sentiment is that you're leading this project. You want to make as many sort of contacts and networking as you can within the sector, and you want to help other projects. So what projects would you say? I'd like to say what do you hold or are you into, Elisha, that you think?
Yeah, I'll answer the question as opposed to Flower. I'll keep it simple. Jacy is a project that I run, but it's literally only 10% of my holdings. I believe in the technology. So I hold a lot of, high tech. I'm a believer of interoperability. So I'm a big quant holder. In fact, I'm a top 5% holder of quant, QNT. I'm probably I'm a 2% holder of VXV. I saw VXV back in 2021. It's an AI project, vector space biosciences, but it also delves into data sets as gold. So I believe that research in creating new medicines, the ability for people to fly in the outer space is something that I really believe in. And also AI trade bots. So that's VXV, and I can go on, right? I believe that LCX as a regulated, exchange will be one that is good, And if you guys look at the prices of those three, those three bottomed out. It's 400% since the bottom out. So I tell people, when you're going to invest, make sure that the stability of your foundation are on good technology. Like these meme tokens, these community tokens. Now I applaud Flower. I'm a Swiftie holder, right? In other words, a mutual friend of ours got us to Swifties, and I like Swifties, and I agree that there's really good community that are working together. However, when it comes to investment, I prefer to invest in the technology, because when you're investing in community, you got to rely on the community. And then, meme tokens, they're largely run by whales, in my opinion. In my opinion, if you're in it to profit, make sure you're in the top 5% of the holding. Because if you're in the bottom of that, let's say a holder base of 1,100, you got a long way to go. Like Jacy has 3,700 holders. It's 3 times the amount of the holders of Swifties, and we hope Swifties will make it. But we were up to 27 million market cap at one point. The key is mixing community with good technology. You got to have both. You have to have good utility. You have to have, in my opinion, a great team. Now the team can be the community, and so you have to have a great community that will do a lot of the marketing for you. Because if with Jacy, that's what we're lacking. I think we're lacking the backing of a good community. Where I want to bring that back, the camaraderie, the love, the unconditional love. I think a lot of people are silent holders. They're watching what we do, and they're paying attention. And what are things not to go into? That is a tough question. Now, I prefer not to answer that with specifics. But I think you see the fruit of certain projects that may have been involved in the past, and then when they launch other tokens and they don't make it, that means there was poor planning. In order for projects to have legs, I think it has to have good planning. It has to have good vision, good purpose, and make it so that the ecosystem benefits. I said in the last podcast that the Jacy token is the king of the ecosystem. It's the heart. Everything pays homage to Jacy token. So if we were as a team to launch other projects, other cryptocurrencies, it'll be a tier underneath Jacy token. The Jacy token will get the benefits through a smart contract that will give percentage homage to JC. JC token being, in my opinion, the most important part of our ecosystem. Of course, I'm not a dictator. I discussed with the team. So if we are to launch, let's say, an education platform under a different name, and it'll be specific to perhaps tied into an NFT that will create education, Web3 education for those that want to be legitimate, and maybe in different countries, including the United States, that's possible. And we can create a governance token that pays for the education of those that hold, it's, let's say, an NFT that's specific to an education platform under JC Project. I'm just talking out loud here. None of this is set in stone. And I've alluded to that love for education. So the way I'm going to answer it is, look, you got to be careful. Invest in something that has good technology. A good community is vastly important. And don't be afraid to spread your cryptocurrencies. Like, don't hold just one or two. Like, currently I hold 20 cryptocurrencies, and I believe in all 20. And also do your research. I think people just buy without even really knowing what they hold. Like, I think we have a lot of JC holders, and they don't even know what we're trying to do. It's okay. We're slowing things down. We're creating this content to educate people more and more about what we are. And in time, I think people will be more comfortable and free to share like they used to when we started.
I'm going to sadly wrap this up. It's Easter. Give me a good positive message, Elisha. Anything.
Love is the answer.
Good.
You know what this season reminds me of is this. Even in death, there's resurrection. Many stories, some people out there may not believe in the Bible. I'm a believer of the Word of God. I believe in the words in the Bible. But stories and movies and literature always speak of rising when you're at the bottom. Life is about ups and downs. Life is discovering that even in times of defeat, victory is on the horizon. So this is a season to remember that. It's a season to remember that anything is possible. In fact, for me, all things are possible. With love as the beacon of what connects us. When we care for the human being next to you, when you care for that family member that's next to you. Look, I'm here in JC. I have many, many friends and family that hold JC token. And I'm here still and will not give up until we reach a level of success that we can be proud of for legacy. And with the utility that we're creating, I believe we have the right team as well to carry on this success. So Easter to me is a reminder to never give up. And things will rise again.
Flower, yourself, what can you say? Easter, positivity.
Yeah, I'll be more simple than Alicia. Look, you know what? It's happy
good,
Easter, everybody.
Yeah.
Enjoy your time with your family. Eat a lot of chocolates. If you don't, you can go buy some JC, and you just be relax. Just enjoy life, right? I mean, humbleness is all year around, not only for Easter, right? So just take it easy. This is a couple of days off with my children, my husband, and we'll just enjoy the time. I mean, it's simple as that sometimes, right?
Excellent. I love it. And I really might look at Swifties because I'm with you. I like the community aspects. But I thought what you said was really good, Ish. That's why you're the leader of the project. You have a good balance. So I think it's time to sign off. Happy Easter, everyone. It's been a lot of fun. Before we go, I guess I must just say we've got our Love is the Answer NFTs out at the moment. I mentioned it at the start of the podcast. I'm going to mention it again. They are currently one Matic to buy, which is about $1.06. 90% of the revenue goes to charity and 10% goes back into the JC project to fund further projects. So head on over to OpenSea.io and search for the JC project. Love is the answer. Any final words that you guys would like to say? We've said Happy Easter. I'm going to hit any final words.
Great work, guys. Continue doing what we're doing. I mean, I can see us thrive, go very far. And I mean, all the best to us, right? We'll do great.
Here.
We'll do great.
I would just like to sign off on my side. So I checked the Twitter, and so I've been focusing on Twitter lately, and it's hard to get social media algorithms when things have dropped. It's very hard to turn it around. We've gone from 2,000 impressions a month in December to 36,000 impressions this month. So
Wow.
whilst
Awesome.
JC Token might not be times 10ing, our social media engagement is getting near a times 10 kind of level. So, and that's a group effort. We've all stuck in and we've hung in it for, I think hanging in there is the wrong word. We've worked through some very tough times. We all joined at JC Way a time, and 2.5 years later, it's us three still here. Elisha, you worked your way to the top. I remember very clearly one of my very earliest calls with Elisha, because Elisha was sort of was contacting me regularly saying, hey, we love your videos, come and work for us, come on. And I didn't really want to work for the JC project. I did put together a pitch, which I've been transparent about, making a documentary for them, blah, blah, blah. It didn't materialise. But Elisha was always on the phone to me, and I started to speak to him. And he said, hey, I'm just a charity guy. You never know, one day I might end up running this project. And it was so funny how that turned out to be. I think Elisha was very good at sort of manifesting these sort of things. Maybe he was the only one crazy enough to take on the project. But it's sort of, there's something to be said about that. Elisha, how would you like to sign off?
Well, first of all, I want to say thank you, David, for all the incredible work you've done the past.
Thanks for having me.
2 months. You've been tireless. You've been very visionary, and I'm very grateful. And there's even a lot behind the scenes. New website coming, the designs, the ideas. It's very fresh. So I thank you. I want to take this opportunity to say
thank you very much.
I'm very grateful. I also want to say thank you to Flower. Flower, I love you, sister. I have fun with this analogy, but my personal trainer is an Aquarius, and so Flower is an Aquarius, so she's like that personal trainer for me in the crypto world. But I love your spirit. I love your compassion, your humility. And look, I wouldn't have the same sort of, courage and boldness if you're not in the team. So thank you, Flower, for being that balance for me, and I think for being a voice of reason for the JC Project community. So I think
appreciate
it's a great day to have this Easter podcast. We didn't plan this, and it looks like we ended up having 2 podcasts, one for Good Friday, and then this I believe will come out for Easter. And I'm very grateful for you. I'm very grateful for the entire JC Project community, and anyone that's listening. Look, join us. Join the Telegram community. Follow us on Twitter. Observe and watch, because we are here to make history. I guarantee it. Really, I really mean that. Like, I'm not making false promises. I will ensure that the JC Project
be careful
makes it.
As your head of marketing.
I don't give up.
Slow down.
Yeah.
Reminder in the back.
Yeah. Look, let's take it one day at a time. How's that?
Yeah, let's leave it at that as well. Good stuff, Elisha. Really
right.
good. Okay, everyone.
Sounds good.
Yeah, happy Easter to all. Glad we're all laughing. That's what I hope this podcast would be. Peace to everyone. Happy Easter, and speak soon. Bye-bye.
Yeah, happy Easter, everybody. Thank you, David. I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
See ya.
Bye, Alicia. Bye, guys. Bye.